Feast your eyes upon Shin Godzilla, an unnatural, destructive beast of annihilation, and a threat to the balance of Earth. His adaptations would allow him to go unopposed and disseminate all other life. Shin Godzilla wants nothing more than to wipe out humanity. He is a chaotic creature that will destroy the natural order of the world, and, if you believe a common theory, he was created by a human scientist. But what really sets this abominable monstrosity apart is his ability to adapt to his surroundings and situation. He learned to stand up and walk out of water in a day. He adapted to shoot beams from his back in order to kill the planes that were bombing him. And in another common theory, he even adapted to survive being frozen. So imagine what would happen if Shin Godzilla was real. What would become of humans and the world as a whole if this terrifying super creature ever existed? Will our military be able to control such a threat and maybe even subdue it? Well, in all honesty, in real life, this would be the worst tragedy in world history, and we would have no precautions in place to deal with a menace like Shin Godzilla. Japan would be annihilated and destroyed as depicted in the film, and there would be so much radiation leaking that most places would become uninhabitable. Having said that, it would be biologically impossible for any living creature to grow anywhere near as large as Godzilla. For this to happen, the creature's heart would need to be large enough to pump lots of blood to the head, nearly the size of the chest cavity, and this wouldn't leave much room for other organs. Another reason why Godzilla's existence would be biologically challenging is that signals from the creature's brain would take extended periods of time to reach the muscles, making it incredibly slow. Consequently, Godzilla would never get enough energy to power such a large heart. But that's the least of Shin's concerns. After all, Shin Goji would have been dead if appeared in real-life Japan, as he would have been crushed under his own weight. His weight would be so heavy that his bones would crumble under the immense weight of his dense body, ensuring death. If he could somehow survive this, there's no known way for an animal to feed off radiation. However, let's put aside the very fact that Godzilla could not possibly survive on land without collapsing under his own weight. Let's imagine that Shin somehow exists in the real world against all laws and odds. What would really happen then? Well, first thing, if Shin Godzilla existed, he would ultimately overturn the political, social, and cultural landscape of mankind as we know it. People would push for advances in technology and weaponry. The military would become more integral in civilian affairs, and scientists would be clamoring to research and understand him and ultimately even control him. Religious groups would go insane over Godzilla's very existence, with entirely new religious beliefs dedicated to his reverence being formed. Depending on how long he's been around in this scenario, he would influence human history. Major historical events would play out much differently than they have in real life. Disasters would be averted, but new ones could be introduced, both directly or indirectly caused by Godzilla. Civilians would steer as far away from coastal regions as possible, establishing more cities inland. In any scenario, Godzilla would be mankind's greatest enemy at worst and greatest rival at best. Now, let's also not forget the fact that Shin Godzilla isn't just any other Godzilla. Part of what makes Anno and Higuchi's take on the iconic kaiju so scary is Godzilla's ability to rapidly evolve. Over the course of Shin Godzilla, the kaiju mutates into several different forms, each time adapting effectively and terrifyingly to its surroundings. So, can the world's military do anything about such a terrifying beast? Well, the answer, sadly, is no. The world's military simply would not survive because Godzilla is a symbol of power unleashed by science for military purposes that's become uncontrollable. Like we saw in the movie itself, Shin Godzilla wasn't fazed by the full power of the military. Conventional forces are useless against him, and nuclear weapons only make him stronger. Dread, devastation, and utter hopelessness are merely a few words that can be used to describe the horror that is Shin Godzilla. A creature with one purpose – humanity's annihilation. Negotiations are out of the question with this behemoth, and don't bother trying to subdue him to your will. Shin Godzilla rains a devastating inferno on everything standing in his way. Watching this creature transform from goofy but dangerous into its final form is one of the most terrifying aspects of Shin Godzilla. Unlike the Hollywood version, Shin Godzilla oozes and pulsates, representing its radioactive origin. Its red coloration evokes blood, but more importantly, symbolizes the creature's rage. This rage is only increased as the Japanese self-defense forces serve as an annoyance rather than a threat to the creature. So it seems like real-life Japan would likely fare far worse than fictional Japan did against Shin Godzilla. Overall, if Japan goes World War on the first two forms of Shin, then they might be able to kill it, if it can die. But the third form and up is when it gets likely way over the heads of any non-fictional army, unless they actually nuke it and wipe out a city. Then again, even nuking it might not work. Eventually, Shin would evolve to the point there's simply no hope for humanity itself, which even the movie acknowledged. Truly a god incarnate. Bombs literally bounce off his skin, and his only reaction is to cover his eyes with a nictitating membrane, probably for the nasty glare. Bunker busters are the only weapons shown to actually break the skin, but even then, he recovers from them nearly immediately, regenerating from the attack. But let's not be so pessimistic about it either. I mean, Shin Godzilla is probably biologically immortal as well, but yes, he can still die in the hands of humans. So can other Godzillas. It's just that they're nearly impossible to kill. As we've clearly seen in the movie, Shin can suffer from overheating. That's where he's really vulnerable. Sure, Shin Godzilla can evolve, but what many people forget is that Shin Godzilla doesn't really evolve in battles. As for immortality, we don't know if Shin Godzilla can die from natural causes or not. Other Godzillas are biologically immortal. That means they can't die from natural causes. But I believe that Shin is still killable. I don't know if there's a word as such, but you can probably understand what I'm trying to say here. Shin's not invincible. But he sure has the potential to become like that, though, which means humanity would just have to act as fast as possible to put up a united front against Shin before he evolves into an immortal monster that could wipe out humanity. But having said that, with all the differences and tensions that the major countries having superior military might have with one another, before humanity puts up a united front, Shin would probably wipe out more than half the population already. And that means it's probably game over for humanity, with Shin becoming something like a godlike figure for the few remaining humans. Man, now that's pretty messed up. Anyways, that was all for this video. We hope you enjoyed it thoroughly. Thanks for watching, and if you want to keep watching more videos like these, well, then don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and smash the bell icon too while you're at it. You're watching Factaholic, and this is your host, Scott Leffler. Signing off for now. Peace.